Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Ronald Berry Robinson and friends. Seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. Also, the In My Opinion show can be seen on Flint, Michigan Comcast Cable 17 every Saturday at 6 o'clock and every Wednesday at 8:30. We're also viewed on Detroit Comcast Cable Channel 68. 7 days a week. Consult your community calendar. We have a wonderful show lined up. We have Mr. Joe Gibbons. We have Mr. Edward Coleman, and we have Mr. Ronald Stewart. Welcome all to the In My Opinion show. We're going to talk about real life, real action, real answers revisited. Joe, why don't you start us off with what you want to talk about?
Well, that's a blessing to be here, and to be here on this show today. I'm giving praise to God because I wouldn't be here without Him, and just it's a lot of things to talk about. Everybody's talking, so when we started the Real Life, Real Action, Real Answer program, it started off as real talk, but we took the talk out of there because we know they talking all over the world. Don't nobody know what's happening. Everybody asking somebody what's happening, and they don't know what's happening. So we want to put some action and put some real answers in people's lives and be an example for them. And if we're going to mentor our youth, we need to go back to the understanding that we need grandmothers, grandfathers. We need those old school grandmothers and grandfathers, and we need those old school parents, mothers and fathers. You know, we need to put our youth in the right hands, because a lot of times everybody is so-called mentoring our children, and I think that's one of the problems that we're having in our communities with mentoring. Yes, we have positive mentors. Yes, we have people that care, but at the same time, we have a system that's set up to divide you, to miseducate you, and I'm here also to talk about the education, miseducation to education. You know, we don't want our children mentored by drug addicts. We don't want our children mentored by lesbians or homosexuals, and we don't want our children mentored by a system that already done robbed them of the knowledge of themselves. They don't have the knowledge of themselves, the knowledge of their culture, the knowledge of their God. So if you don't have the knowledge of yourself, then you won't be fruitful in this society. You'll be miseducated. And we're looking for the best grandmothers, as I say, the best grandfathers need to step up. The best uncles, the best aunts, the best cousins, the best friends. We need the best of everything. And that's how we're going to set the record straight in our mentoring and counseling our children today. And that's where I'm coming from. When you see young people that want alligator shoes, or they want designer jeans, or they want all type of things, you know. Well, if the mothers can't afford it and can't give them the money, what do? Well, they go looking at their brother, or looking at their neighbor, or looking at someone, you know, in the community to steal it from. Well, we're trying to stop that. We want to teach them that you don't have to steal, you don't have to take, you know, you don't have to do anything wrong to be somebody. Everybody want to deal with greatness. Even in the time of Jesus, when the disciples asked, who would be the greatest among us? They wanted to know who was going to be the greatest. Jesus said, go get the little child and put it in the midst of us. And he said, those who humble themselves as that little child, that's the one who will be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. You see, so everybody want to be great. Everybody have a greatness in them. You know, but if you lie to people, you lie to children, then you have violated the laws of their minds. So we don't want to be lying to the children. We want to tell the children the truth. We want to be an example for them. I talk to positive role models, as I could say role models, but they're trying to be role models. I talked to Antonio Smith, who's willing to help us in the athletical area as a professional basketball player. The Flintstones with Mateen Cleaves and Mo Peterson and Charlie Bill and all of them, I'm sure they will also support the mentoring, because that's what they're doing. They're doing a good job and things of that nature. So we just looking up, miseducation. Why would we have to write books on miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson? If it wasn't something wrong, we wouldn't need those type of books. We would have proper direction, proper understanding, proper knowledge. And when you got the proper education, see, how can you say stay in school when you got the wrong educational system? Is not teaching you the truth. That's like saying stay in the crack house. See, we don't want to repeat the same thing we did yesterday. We on a new level today. We're looking for a new mindset. We're looking for cleanliness in the mind. We're looking for people that concern and care, not just about money to put in your pockets. We have a whole lot of people who want to put money in their pocket, but don't care nothing about contributing to the community in the right manner, in the right way. Our leadership, as we call it, we had all the leaders and the best leaders while we're having all the problems today. That tells you there's a problem in our leadership. That problem comes from miseducation. That's where it's coming from. We are afraid to speak on leadership that is standing up for us. It's hard for us to mention the name of Al Sharpton or mention the name of Jesse Jackson or mention the name of Louis Farrakhan, great leaders that been there on the battlefield fighting 40, 50 years for our salvation. But we don't want that type of thing. We want those go along, get along type of Negroes that want to tell us this is the way we should mentor our children. Well, if we let you have them, which we already have, but we want them back. We want our communities back. We want to take back from the rich what they done taken from us. Actually, we're not taking anything, but we want what they got. We want it back because it belongs to us, and give it back to the poor people. See, Jesus also told us that the poor will always be amongst you. It seems like they're trying to rule us out. So we're not going to accept this weak leadership anymore. Those days are over with. We looking for strong men today with strong minds in our political world. Where our mayors is running and everybody got their own choice or their own pick of who's going to be the mayor. It don't matter. What matters is, do they have the right mindset? Do they have the proper education of themselves? Are they concerned enough to do the right thing? Put God first. That's the only way you're going to be the proper leader or the proper mayor or the best mayor. If God is first in your life. Many times God is not first. And that's why we're catching so much here. It don't matter whether you put a black man in, a white man in, a Chinese man in, no matter. We want the God man in there. The one who's going to do the right thing for our community. That's what it's all about.
Well, do you think that the churches and the schools are doing enough to educate our youth, or are they falling short of their, in my opinion, of their obligation? All right. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think many times the intentions of many of the pastors or the churches that they pastoring over, I believe many of their intentions are good, but I believe that they are also miseducated to the fact of a lot of our young people. Most of young men, you don't see them in the churches. They outside on the street somewhere hanging out, relating to one another. You see mostly women in the churches. Pastors, having a pastor's parade or talking about money all the time, I believe that many of the churches and people of the churches have let us down in many areas because they want to fulfill their pockets instead of fulfill the spirit of God in the human being. And I feel that's one of the biggest problems with the churches today.
You're talking about pimps in the pulpit.
I think you do have pimps in the pulpit. I'm not ashamed to say it. I will say it in their face because the truth has. See, we standing on truth. Jesus said the truth will make you free. Free from what? You know, free from being a drug addict, free from being an alcoholic, free from being living the wrong lifestyle. What is you free from? You know, we still doing the same things and getting in the pulpit. You know what I'm saying? Lying to the people. You know, you ain't addressing the issues of women running around half naked. You know, because you can't tell me you so holy. When a woman walk past you half naked, you stop. Your holiness is gone. What you need to do is correct that issue. You need to speak on the issue. How many times do the pastors speak on issues of women half dressed coming to church? You know, I mean, if it's going to be all about the pastor and it's not about the people, then the church have failed us in the community.
Well, it should be about the word as well. Mr. Coleman, you want to talk about substance abuse prevention?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please enlighten our millions of viewers worldwide on your views.
Okay, as I see it, my name is Edward Coleman. I'm a certified addictions counselor. Been in the field for 2 decades now, and I'm glad to be among the fight for our youth. And we have to start with addressing the issues. And as we know, substance abuse and co-occurring disorders, which is mental health and other disorders, post-traumatic stress and so forth, is running rapid in our communities. And we need to get out there and do some prevention. We have to start with our youth and the adult, educate them to the impact of substance abuse on family and how it impacts family. We also have to be about nurturing and mentoring, as Joe talked about. We also have to get out there and advocate. We need more men to step up and be willing to be mentors and substance abuse therapists. In this field, it's a lack of black males that work in substance abuse areas. I am also glad to say that after recovering for 22 years myself, caught up in the grip, as I can see in the community with addiction and other disorders, I am glad to say that through the Flint community, as we see economically devastation, and a lot of it comes from substance abuse, as we see corrupt police departments and so forth, as substance abuse comes afield. And I also can say that I'm glad to know that we have some people that want to do something about it. I'm glad to be among the group of these gentlemen that have waged a war against substance abuse. I also want to say that I do involve myself in other areas besides just substance abuse. I'm involved in my ministry. I do the van ministry at my church. I'm also on the deacon board at my church. And I think that we need more men to step up in other areas. If we want the pastors to be right, we want the church to be right, it needs some people from the grassroots to talk about it and get in the mix of that to help this be a better situation for us. Our youth need what we say prevention. In other words, we need to start working with them at a young age. A lot of times we wait too long to talk about substance abuse with our children. Today I can see where a lot of parents are afraid to talk to their youth about different issues. You know, as a father and a grandfather myself, I started talking to my daughter at a young age. And it's up to us to be that role model for them in that family. They don't need a basketball or football star. They need some role models coming from the family. Grandfathers, grandmothers, mothers. We need them to mentor to our families. Also, when we talk about this battle that we have against substance abuse. It's also ways that we have tried to. I worked 22 years in the Flint area as a substance abuse counselor, and I also sit on the board with judges and lawyers. I've not always been on that side of the law. I've had my tests and my trials in that area, and I'm an overcomer, and I believe that all people need to be given a second chance. Don't write them off because they make some mistakes. All of us have made some mistakes. We need to start talking to our youth about some of the mistakes that we've made, and don't try to keep that hidden. We also need to look into our genes, where we have families of people that have been depressed, people that have substance abuse problems. We need to look into that area so we can find out, am I susceptible to some of these diseases? Do I need medication? Do I need counseling? So I believe that always that we have to be worthy of what we want the substance abuse to do, the leaders in this area. CMH, under the umbrella of CMH means mental health and other disorders. I'm now working, I worked in the Flint area for 19 years, but now I'm working at a place called Sacred Heart Rehabilitation Center, which is located, and we serve people from Flint for mental health and other disorders. And I believe that if you're to get help, you just have to love your family member. You can't just discard them because they have a substance abuse problem. Try to be that adversary is not the way to always talk them down. You need to be building them up and helping them get the help that they need.
Mr. Stewart, job creation. The Flint job market has been devastated. Okay, how do we change this downward spiral?
We got to create our own jobs in our own community. I went to inside of Fifth Ward and talked to a lot of youths, because I go there every day, because that's where they really need our help at. And I elaborated with them about what would they like to do to change their life. What would they do? They said do anything to make $1. I said, well, would you cut grass, blow grass, shovel some snow in order to be self-efficient? They told me, yeah, but they haven't had the opportunity of nobody coming to the community, putting them on a truck and give them a lawnmower to cut grass. So my understanding of that was that I need to see with somebody donate some buildings in order for me to place these youths in, so they can get constructive understanding of what life is all about, as far as being proactive in their community themselves. So in order for them to be proactive in their community, you got to give them something to live on, to feed on. So if I'm getting them a building that computers in and they learning skills, when they go back to school at the beginning of the year, they be ahead of the class instead of behind the class. Because all summer, while everybody else throwing balls and getting sweaty, they're inside this cool building learning educational skills. Mm-hmm. And the ones that don't want to do that, anything that you're good at, if you're a good singer, we try to help the youth come to their full potentials, or what they say they is. If they say they're a good singer, we want to put them in a situation that they can sing in front of people. If they're a good boxer, we want to put you in front of an audience of people that you be the greatest boxer you can be. If they put you in front of people saying that I can own a store, instead of just going to the store buying something, you can own the store. By getting the mindset and the skill set of understanding that it takes a village to raise a child, it also takes a village to raise a grown person that thinks like a child. So it takes us to do everything to make things foundated, in order to make the foundation within ourselves. So I told the kids, I said, all the things I've done in my past put you at this spot in your life, I apologize for. Mm-hmm. I meant that from everything in my spirit, because without me it couldn't have been them. So my job is to tell them to forgive me and create a job situation for them so they don't have to go through what I went through. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get people in the community to believe in us, that we can change our kids. In order to change our kids, we got to have our kids back. In order to have our kids back, we got to put them in a safe environment so they can come in there and they ain't got to feel that somebody finna shoot up the building, somebody finna throw something in the building. Because we are the mentors. We are the security guards. We are everything that makes our kids better. You know, in order to give them that, to enlighten them that, we got to give them the right food for thought to grow on. You know, and all I want to do is give them a chance to be more than I was.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. Those are great, you know, those are great ideas. All right. They just need implementation. If we had out here in television land, all right, or people that are listening to this show on the car radios, okay, or we'll eventually see it on Comcast, how would one get in touch with you in order to hopefully maybe sponsor a program that, you know, that you might have in mind?
My name is Ronald Stewart, and my number is 308-8388. My number is on all the time, especially if you're doing something positive for these kids to get them off these streets and out of all this confusion that we created. Mm-hmm. And I feel like all the kids nowadays, all they need is somebody to love them and let them know that it's going to be all right. We created all the conditions. This is what us as people need to understand. All these conditions that kids is going through right now, the ones that know who I'm talking about, y'all know who you is, we created this. So y'all got to do the same thing that I'm doing, getting the same attention to kids that I'm giving. Because without us, they couldn't be confused like they is. So, you know, I'm just asking everybody that's know me and know Elamine and know this brother here about drug. We need all these things in order to make this life work. We can't do it by ourselves. They can't do it by themselves. So if we keep loving them and letting them know everything gonna be all right, everything will be all right, because we gonna put the first feet in front of the other one to make it happen for them. I just need people to help me believe in us, believe in what we're doing to save our kids.
Mr. Coleman, in a few minutes that we got left, what would you like to tell our viewers?
I would like to say that I have a number here if someone is interested in a family member or a loved one that needs help. The number is 257-3740, and be willing to love your family member back to you. They deserve it. They have value. We all have value. You know, I'm going to invest all my time that I can in this rescue mission to get our youth back and to get our community back. It's in our hands. When I look back at our forefathers, I can remember that they had faith. They stood on faith, but they also had works. They believed. And I think if we can believe, we can achieve.
Those phone numbers, that was beginning with 810, correct?
810-257-3740. That is the way that you access help for substance abuse and other co-occurring disorders.
Okay. Joe?
Yes, sir.
With the short time that we have left, I'll let you bring this show to conclusion.
Yes, well, I'm going to say it like Jesus probably would say it. Jesus suffered. He said many people want the crown. I mean, they want the crown, but they don't want the cross. They don't want to suffer. They don't want to go out in the community and do the things that need to be done. How many don't want to be spoken bad of? How many want to be put in prison? Or how many want to go through the things or be beaten to death as well on a mission like this here? When you're trying to stand up for freedom, justice, and equality, sometimes there's a price to pay. And many times we don't want to pay that price. How many of us want to walk down to D&H and go deal with them young people? How many of us want to go down on Wood and Norwood, or just go down in the streets where people looking like they just lost their last breath? How many of us want to go to that level? You know, we say we want it, but when the time comes, we back down.
Well, I certainly hope that each and every one of you gentlemen reaches your goals and surpasses them, in fact, all right? And if there's anything that I can do to expedite, your ambitious agenda, okay, please feel free to contact me. I want to thank Mr. Edward Coleman, Mr. Ronald Stewart, and Mr. Joe Gibbons for appearing on the In My Opinion show. I want to thank our millions of viewers worldwide. Also want to thank my excellent technical staff. And until next time, this is Ronald Barry Robinson saying for the In My Opinion show, stay focused.